Have you ever wondered how faith and dedicated work can transform your life? Discover the divine provision that awaits those who serve with a joyful heart. Get ready for an inspiring journey.
Through faith and careful, attentive work, we find divine provision. Let's not be idle, let's have hands that serve and a joyful heart. The work entrusted to us must be done. The Lord blesses effort and dedication. Guided by His grace, it will bring abundant fruit and the peace that surpasses all understanding to our hearts. May the joy of the Lord be our strength. Get ready for an emotional story that illustrates how faith and work can transform lives. Apollo has something incredible to share.
In a beautiful, bustling, tree-lined city, Damaris, a young woman from the administrative sector, faced exhausting days at the office. The pressure of work left her with no time for herself, and the feeling of being fiercely consumed grew daily. She felt incomplete, as if something were missing in her life, which left her somewhat disoriented. It wasn't just the workload that suffocated her, but also the feeling that she was trapped in an endless cycle of tasks and responsibilities that brought no satisfaction. The days seemed to drag on. Work had become a mechanical routine, a constant repetition of appointments and reports, with no room for true joy. However, Damaris's greatest challenge was the internal struggle she felt each morning, the sense that there was no point in continuing to do something that didn't fulfill her. She could no longer dedicate her heart to her profession, but on the other hand, the fear of abandoning the security of her job paralyzed her. She knew she needed a change, but insecurity and emotional exhaustion kept her trapped. One weekend, on a certain morning, upon waking, Damaris felt a weight in her heart. She looked in the mirror and for the first time in a long time, saw a reflection she disliked. Exhaustion and frustration were etched on her face, and something within her began to cry out for change. I need to find a greater purpose for my life, she thought, looking at her own tired gaze. She felt that the solution wasn't just in changing jobs or taking a radical stance, but in finding a new direction, something that would make her heart beat stronger and bring her peace. It was then that she made a decision. I need to meet new people, she thought. I need to connect with something greater than my own selfish journey. Damaris sought out and began to frequent a volunteer group in her community. She didn't know exactly what to expect, but she felt that this was the first step toward giving new meaning to her life. There she met people who, like her, were looking for meaning in their lives. Each meeting, each conversation seemed to help her see the world from a new perspective. One of them was Michael, a man of strong faith, always smiling, with eyes shining with passion for serving others. He shared stories of personal triumph, many of which deeply touched Damaris's heart. Michael always spoke about the importance of dedicated work and faith. The Lord calls us to be diligent in what we do, but true fulfillment comes when we do it with a heart turned toward Him and others, he said with fervor. Inspired by Michael and the welcoming environment of the group, Damaris decided to dedicate more time to volunteering. She began to see positive changes in her life. She felt more fulfilled and at peace, as if she were filling a void she had always felt. Volunteering brought her a new perspective of gratitude and a sense of belonging that she had never experienced in the corporate environment. However, work at the office remained intense. Damaris felt that the two parts of her life were in constant conflict. She needed to find a way to balance her professional responsibilities with her new life purpose. Many times, she found herself emotionally exhausted, divided between work duties and commitments to the volunteer group. There were days when she felt she no longer had the strength to dedicate herself to both. Damaris's internal struggle intensified. She asked herself, how can I be dedicated to my job and at the same time find time to serve God and people? How can I reconcile these two vital areas in my life? She knew she needed an answer, but the pressure was immense. One day, Damaris received a proposal to lead a major project at the company. It was a golden opportunity, a position of greater responsibility, with significant growth potential. However, the proposal left her deeply divided. Accepting this proposal would mean dedicating even more time to my job. Will I be able to maintain balance? She thought. The fear of losing control of her life and her new commitments paralyzed her. She knew she couldn't continue living only for work, but she also didn't want to give up her career. Doubt and anguish took over her heart. It was then that Damaris remembered something Michael always said, our life is like a river. If there's no balance between the waters it receives, it overflows. We need to trust in God to help us find the right flow, without one side leading the other to destruction. These words were etched in her mind. After much prayer and reflection, Damaris decided to accept the project. But she set a condition: Her company should support her participation in volunteering, understanding its importance for her personal and spiritual fulfillment. To her surprise, the company was receptive to the proposal, and with that, Damaris managed to balance her professional responsibilities and her dedication to volunteering. Her work, now with her best dedication and unwavering faith, showed God the path she wanted to take, and He blessed her by bringing abundant fruits. At the office, she gained the kindness and respect of her colleagues and superiors. In volunteering, her commitment inspired many others to dedicate themselves with greater fervor to the cause. The peace she sought was now in her life, and the joy that surpasses all understanding, as mentioned in the Scriptures, a passage where Paul encourages Christians not to worry unduly and to replace anxiety with gratitude. This became a reality in her heart. Damaris finally found the balance she had been seeking. She knew she couldn't do everything alone and that her strength came from God. Her story inspired many others to seek that same peace and balance, to believe that, with the help of the Lord, it's possible to reconcile the challenges of work with the greater call to serve others. Damaris learned that true happiness isn't just in professional success, but in giving to others and seeking a greater purpose. She discovered the joy that comes from serving and the happiness of belonging to a Christian community dedicated to the common good. Her dedicated work and growing faith were, for her, the key to finding true fulfillment. Stay with us to discover how Damaris's faith and dedicated work were founded on inspiring biblical passages. Titus has something special to share.
As Apollo told us, Damaris, who was struggling with her job, found the balance she had been searching for. She discovered that she couldn't do everything alone and that her strength came from God. She found that the Lord's word welcomed her with the call from Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." This passage teaches us the importance of trusting in God and seeking His guidance in all our actions. Just like Damaris, when we trust in the Lord, He guides us and helps us find the right path. Damaris found enthusiasm to move forward by trusting in God, faithfully following what is said in Colossians chapter 3, verses 23 and 24, which changed her way of thinking, and which says, "Whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward." You are serving the Lord Christ. These verses taught Damaris the importance of carrying out all activities with dedication and integrity, not just to please others, but as a way to serve God. Even in the most mundane tasks, our focus should be to please God and trust that He will reward us. These verses reinforce that we should perform our tasks with dedication and excellence, as if we were serving God Himself. Damaris applied this principle, and her activities bore fruit. She dedicated herself to her work and volunteering with all her heart, following this teaching. Receiving the fruits of her professional work, Damaris did not stop dedicating herself to volunteering, for the passage in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." Galatians encourages us to persevere in doing good, even when we face challenges. Just like Damaris, by continuing to do good, we will reap the fruits of our efforts. Now, get ready for an excellent reflection on how to apply these teachings in our daily lives. Apollo has an inspiring message to share.
Damaris' story is a powerful reminder of how genuine faith, combined with diligent work, has the power to transform lives. It teaches us that when we fully trust in the Lord and dedicate ourselves to serving with joy, He always takes care of our needs, not only material but also spiritual. When we are called in Proverbs to trust in the Lord with all our heart and not to lean on our own understanding. Thus, like Damaris, when we surrender our plans and efforts to God, He guides us through paths of peace and prosperity. Our dedication to others and our willingness to serve become channels through which God pours out His provision. The Lord tells us that we should work wholeheartedly, as if we were working to please the Lord, and not people. When we do this, our action becomes an act of worship, and we find complete satisfaction, for we know that our effort is not in vain. The true reward comes from God, who honors those who serve Him faithfully. In moments of discouragement or fatigue, it is essential to remember what Galatians tells us: we should not grow weary of doing good, for in due time we will reap the fruits. May Damaris' story inspire each of us to trust in divine provision and to serve with a joyful heart, knowing that our greatest reward comes from God. We would greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to like this video. It might seem like a small action, but it helps us continue to offer good messages and thoughts. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to not miss our future reflections. Your comments also mean a lot to us. If you find what we share useful, Leave us your comment and interests so we can address them in future videos. We'll keep talking and improving here. We like being here and we appreciate you being with us. See you in the next video. If this moment brought some light, the next one might illuminate even more. There's a video specially selected to continue this conversation and inspire new reflections. We thank you for your dedication to growing with us.